Wreaths Across America Radio connects millions of volunteers as America's radio station and a voice for America's veterans as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach the next generation the value of freedom. Michael W. Hale with you, and my next guests here on the Wreaths Radio Morning Show are Kevin and Lauren Wallace, here to share information about Van of Valor. And Kevin, an Air Force veteran and Purple Heart recipient, he and Lauren sharing their passion behind what they're doing with the Van of Valor as we learn more about their mission and what they hope to accomplish in the near future. So Kevin and Lauren, thank you so much for taking time out to share with us today.
Thank you for having us. It's great to be here.
And quite an adventure ahead of you. But before we talk about that, Kevin, we'll talk to you first a bit about your service and how you decided to take that step into the military and some of the things that you had to deal with. Why did you decide to join the military? What was the impetus behind that, and how long did you serve?
Oh, gosh, I'd like to say, honestly, that it was unwavering patriotism, which followed, but it was opportunity, actually. I wasn't the best high school student. Actually, I was a terrible high school student. But anyway, college wasn't my course in life, so I enlisted. And quickly, though, in my first enlistment, some terrible people attacked our nation's capital and attacked the epicenter of commerce in this great nation in New York City. I'm talking about 9/11, of course. Also, crashed it in a field out in Pennsylvania. But for me, that was a shift from me wanting to get out after my first enlistment and then go to college. And that was the driving force behind my reenlistment. So quickly it went from sort of I wouldn't say self-serving, but trying to create opportunities for myself as a young adult. And that transitioned rapidly into, oh no, never again. We are not going to allow our country to be attacked in this manner.
And so you served in the Air Force, I understand it, during that time.
It was 20 years, 4 months, and 12 days of service. And not that I counted. Of those, more than 11 years were served overseas. And oftentimes it was in theaters of combat. So Afghanistan, as I was there a couple of times. And I've been to Central America, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, pretty much everywhere in Central Asia, Eastern Europe, several places in Central America and Africa. I think you're asking specifically about the Purple Heart, and that was working with a team of MARSOC Raiders, so Marine Corps Special Operations. I'm sure you're not wanting me to use the acronym here, and also U.S. Army Cavalry Scouts. And it was in an area called Bala Murghab, which is a very little-known district in northwest Afghanistan in Baghdad province, a major drug exfiltration route that the Taliban would use to get their opium, their poppies out of country, then to fund their arms purchases through Iran and other nefarious nations. Well, our main mission was to bring security to the Afghan people, of course, but our biggest challenge there was stopping those drugs because that was their large source of money for them. So if we can stop them from exporting their drugs, we can sort of clip off their ability to resupply. They weren't really keen on us doing that, so they would bring the fight to us multiple times a day, if I'm being honest. One particular mission was a mission where there were several things going on. MARSOC had their thing that I don't really think I should talk about here, but the Cav guys that day was a key leader engagement where they were taking, we took a set of ruins outside a village called Commissary, and we were kind of offshoot of this other village called Kobali. But Commissary was a village that was out in the middle of a field with canals on both sides and no roads or anything to it. We knew it was a hot spot for insurgent activity, as was Kobali, but that was the farthest north in this valley we had been. So we had to take that area and establish at least an observation post, or if not a fire base or something out there to limit their activity. What ended up happening is 12 of us and a dog got into probably 6 or 7, a multiple-hour firefight with 100 plus insurgents, and we were heavily outnumbered, heavily outgunned, and it was a fight, try to live or die situation, and we all made it out. They can't say the same. Several of us wounded, but we all lived, to include our bomb-sniffing dog, Valdo. I don't know how many of them we eliminated. Not enough. We couldn't get every last one of them, but we did our best.
Well, I know it's not the easiest subject to talk about, but thank you, Kevin, for sharing that with us so we can get an appreciation for
Yes,
what
sir.
you and others went through. And from this, you were awarded the Purple Heart and a Bronze Star with Valor for that battle. And for those listeners who have heard of the Purple Heart, but maybe they're not really familiar with what it stands for, if you could share that with us, Kevin.
Okay, well, it is the oldest military medal. It was created by General George Washington himself in a way where he could, in an era where we were not that far removed from England and still titles and nobility and things were really important. It was really uncommon for a common soldier to be awarded a medal. I think General George Washington, the founding father, of course, saw fault in that, and he created a way to award his soldiers, the families of his soldiers that had fallen in battle, a medal. So there's two ways to earn the Purple Heart. One is to die in combat, and the other way is to be wounded by an enemy while engaged in combat. And the second way is the way of, obviously, I've earned it, and a lot of people I know, but that first way that really touches really deep, and it's to give everything, to give one's life for their brothers and sisters in the country they love and a way of life they love. It is the ultimate sacrifice. So we, Lauren and I in the Band of Valor, we want to illuminate those who survived war and have stories to tell, some of whom have kept these stories inside since Vietnam or prior, and also at the same time highlighting the sacrifice of those who fell in combat and the struggles of their families left behind, which there's a term, Gold Star family, as surely you know. So our focus is on the living and deceased Purple Heart recipients and then the Gold Star families left behind.
Well, thank you, Kevin. And I know Lauren is there with you, your other half, and we'd like to kind of get her thoughts as well. I know you're getting ready to travel, and a very special story about a van that you have and this journey that you have. So Lauren, give us your thoughts on this, and how did this whole plan come about for you to travel and try to catch up with these recipients of the Purple Heart?
Well, I'm going to start off by plugging an amazing organization, Team Fast Track's Blue Skies for Good Guys and Gals. They host Warrior Weekend to Remember every single year, where they bring together Gold Star families and Purple Heart recipients for literally a weekend to remember. And out of that, we just got to talking to so many people, hearing their stories, and there's an amazing sense of camaraderie once the initial sense of a collective trauma is understood. And well, just getting to talking to everybody, they would always say, yeah, come visit us in this state, come visit us in this state. So it kind of started out as, okay, we're just going to go around the country and basically do a massive buddy check on everybody who told us to come visit, because, hey, anytime we've told people to come visit us on the Outer Banks, it's hit or miss whether or not they actually come visit us. So we wanted to stay true to our word and go out and see all of these people that we've made great connections with. And then out of that, when we got back home from that event, the Military Order of the Purple Heart directory showed up in our mailbox. So, wow, we have a telephone book of Purple Heart recipients with most of their stories, as well as all of these people that we want to go see. So one thing after another, it just kind of evolved into, hey, let's hit all 48 states and tell at least 100 stories. I'm sure we'll acquire more along the way, but the main goal is to create a printed book at the end of this journey, where as you flip through the pages, you'll be able to look at the photos of Americana as you get to see every single one of our glorious states in the lower 48. So going from sea to shining sea and reading the messages of what keeps our freedom free. So that's basically the goal. We're going to be creating this book as well as using my cultural anthropology background to record these interviews in terms of ethnographic field interviews, so that there will be a repository that will be donated to the Library of Congress of these interviews at the end. So we'll have it in multiple formats. The academic side that can be referenced, as well as a coffee table style book that anybody can flip through.
Certainly an exciting adventure ahead, and quite the life change as well, right? Just making all these plans. And I understand you bought a used FedEx van that had about 300,000 miles on it, converting it to a travel van. So that alone's an adventure, Lauren.
Oh, absolutely. That has been a dream for a long time, to be able to convert a van and to live in it, actually. I find it really actually kind of therapeutic to go through massive purges of physical belongings every couple of years and just try to get back down to the minimum, because it's kind of frustrating acquiring all of in anthropology, the term is called cargo. When you acquire your cargo, why do you have so much cargo is a thought that they often like to ask. So it feels really good to purge it all, get back to the minimum, and just be able to go about telling these stories as well as have an adventure.
I know we can't wait to hear the stories on the other side of this very special project that you're getting underway, and the Van of Valor project we're talking about with Kevin and Lauren Wallace this morning on Wreaths Radio. And just as Gold Star families can open up easier and understand other Gold Star families, it's the same thing with Purple Heart recipients, I would think, and that they might sooner be willing to share and open up to someone who understands what they went through.
Absolutely. I'll share a quick anecdote. Well, two, very quick, but they're both Vietnam veterans. We met with one, and his wife was there, and she was his high school sweetheart before he went to Vietnam, married shortly after Vietnam. So she's been with this man all of these years. And he was very, at first hesitant to talk, and he thought I was quite a bit younger than him, and it was a little bit, let's just say, awkward. And so I thought, okay, well, let me open up and share a little bit about myself. As soon as I did, it's like you open the floodgate. Once he saw that I had walked similar steps as he had walked, the floodgates were open, and he just started pouring all these stories out of his soul. And it was like this weight was being lifted from him. And here's his wife looking over there, looking at my wife, and mouthing the words in silence like he has never said any of this. You could see her like mouthing it across the room. And then, when he was done, she said she's been married to him all these years and hasn't heard any of this. Thank you so much for getting this off his chest. And we realized at that moment, and we hadn't really started the Van of Valor yet, we were conceptualizing it, but we realized at that moment that we were the perfect couple. Lauren with her brains and her academia, and me just being able to break down that barrier between let's just say a snake eater and another snake eater, where we may be able to talk about things that we're very concerned most of the world wouldn't understand, and other people in our society may judge us for having endured. So within our own community, it's much easier to talk. And then through this, we're forthright in saying, not only you're talking, we want to relay your stories. So this generation and the next generation, and the next generation, and on understand. And we don't lose sight of what it really takes to remain free. It just breaks my heart every time, especially with the Vietnam guys and girls, when I talk about what they came back to. It's very troubling, and we just have to make sure that doesn't happen again. We are dedicating at least 2 years of our lives, 2 on the road, probably the rest of our lives. I don't know if either of us will ever stop serving this country and our fellow warriors and our citizens, but at least 2 years of our life is our sacrifice we're willing to commit without work, and probably eating Spam every day just to keep us out there telling these stories, sadly, before a lot of them are gone. And that is really sad, because we've had to cross names, I hate to say that, but names off our list, in that we haven't made it there yet, and they've left this great earth. So hopefully we get to talk in Valhalla or wherever warriors and I wind up. But in the meantime, I feel it's our calling here on earth, Lauren and I, to educate the youth, to educate the adults, to educate all components of our society and allied nations, because patriotism seems to be wavering in some of our greatest friends across the world too. It's a global thing. I think people are popping their heads up and saying, what's going on? Why are we turning our backs on those keeping us safe? And that's really important, Lauren and I.
Well, sounds like it's going to be quite an emotional roller coaster as these stories are opened up and shared. And like I said, on the other side, the results of all that you're going to do and those you're going to meet, those of us who will be able to read about it and hear those stories from you, we are really looking forward to that, and more of the Van of Valor. And so what can we do to help, and how do we find out more information, Kevin and Lauren?
Well, you can go to our website, www.vanofvalor.com, and that's where we have all of our resources on there, as well as we're on most of the social medias, including Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, and LinkedIn, and YouTube as well. So yeah, you can keep up with us via any way of which you can pretty much go on your computer or on your cell phone.
I'd like to add that we're not out seeking donations and partnerships for the sake of building a nest egg. We're actually quite a bit in the hole. We've been self-funding this project. So we stood up the nonprofit that is the driving factor behind all this, the 501c3, about 4 years and a few days ago now. So we've put all the work in up front and have been self-funding this all along. So we're quite a bit in the hole, actually. But we've had a family in Michigan give us a substantial donation not long ago. We're looking for any kind of support, whether that's partnerships, which Wreaths Across America has been great. And we are partnering, as you probably know, with you guys now. So we want to help sponsor wreaths and have wreaths across all the cemeteries across the nation. But any other kind of support people can provide, we're on Bright Funds, Benevity Causes,
GuideStar,
Platinum on Candid, GuideStar. We've done all the work forward, and now we're just looking to fund it a little bit off of, because this whole project's been completely funded off our own back so far, which is my disability and combat-related specialty compensation. However, I would like to say that Hendrick Motors here in Charlotte and corporate Mercedes-Benz has done a great job in that we lost our rear driver's side tire driving down I-40. The first few days of our mission, we're driving across I-40 and the rear tire just shoots off into the highway and we come skating through 2 lanes. I level us out along the shoulder, but the brakes are gone.
Rolling off into the woods. Thank goodness it didn't hit anybody else.
So I grind us to a halt. We got towed to a place called Hendrick's Mercedes outside of Charlotte. And they have just been phenomenal, from their general manager, Mr. Foster, and their service manager, Mr. Kahlo. And there's a young gentleman in the back named Jake Reeves who's really been helping us out. And then a bunch of people at corporate we don't know yet. Senior engineer we spoke with named Mr. Root is actually coming up from Jacksonville to have a look at our van today when the repairs are done, to make sure that, he believes, as a senior Mercedes Sprinter van engineer for the Southeast. So I think that shows a lot of goodwill from Mercedes. It's things like that Mercedes really came to our aid, and they didn't have to. This van is 2011, and FedEx bought it from them years and years ago, and it's had 2 owners between FedEx and us. So they really owe us nothing, and it was their kindness that will allow us to get back on the road, because there's no way we could have afforded the repairs. It's not all about money, but if people can help, we're always looking for any support people.
And there's a PayPal link on the vanofvalor.com.
We are very honored to have you with us to be a venue to share this, hoping that some people will step up. And I will tell you, while I do enjoy a good fried Spam sandwich, I don't want the thought of you folks eating Spam every day.
I love Spam.
So I just hope people support you. I mean, it's encouraging people who want to adopt Kevin and Lauren as a project. This is a very, very special project, Van of Valor, and you can hear the humble beginnings that this whole journey is taking, and it's just going to be something very special. It's going to touch lives of so many people, and it's going to help with that healing process. And I know that Kevin and Lauren totally understand the healing of what Kevin went through and what others have gone through in service to our nation. So it's that special. We really want people to consider supporting you in any way they can. And so, again, if you would give us those sites where we can go and make a difference and go along for the ride with you, so to speak.
Yeah, easy. www.vanofvalor, no dots, no spaces, nothing, just straight across, vanofvalor.com. www.vanofvalor.com. And we have a blog there. We have links to all of our socials. We are working towards, in the very near future, a weekly segment with y'all, with Wreaths Across America. So we will be able to share stories as we record these narratives of Purple Heart recipients and Gold Star families. We'll be able to share them across these radio waves that we're on actually right now. That's immense. You've already elevated our voices globally, well, nationally at least, probably globally. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's our honor and pleasure, and it's the least we can do. And I was not in the loop on going along for the ride with you, as you say, with some updates here. So I'm even more excited now to learn that we'll be sharing some of these stories, and I don't have to wait until the end of the journey, and neither do the listeners, to hear some of what you're discovering along the way. So this is fantastic. Again, veterans, helping and honoring veterans. Kevin and Lauren, as we kind of close things out here, any final thoughts or anything else you want to share?
Well, the ultimate goal of this project, in addition to recording and preserving these stories, is to bring awareness to the sacrifice of Purple Heart recipients and Gold Star families in an effort to weave these stories into the fabric of our national consciousness.
And my final thought would be, is if you're anywhere out there in America, it doesn't matter if you're in a city, if you're off a highway, a byway, a road, a suburb, a farm, a trail, if we can get our van somewhat near you and park it, and we will walk the way to your front door, and we want to hear your story. And America honestly needs to hear your story. So if you're a Purple Heart recipient or a Gold Star family member out there, and you've decided to check out and live off the grid for a little bit, give us a chance. We are different than anyone you've ever met, and America truly needs to hear your story. And that said, if you know someone living such lifestyle, also at www.vanofvalor.com, you can send us an email, or I think my personal cell phone number is on there, and I'm willing to take your call. Please not in the middle of the night, and we will get it wherever they're at in these great lower 48 states. Eventually, if we could, we would like to go to Hawaii and Alaska and some of our, Guam and Puerto Rico and things. But currently, we're going where our vehicle can take us. So anywhere in the lower 48 states, please reach out to us. And if we can't get to you by van, we'll rent a fan boat and find our way out to wherever you're at in Louisiana or elsewhere. And I do mean that.
Thank you, Kevin and Lauren, for doing this, because I really, like I said a few minutes ago, I think it's really going to have an impact, especially on Purple Heart recipients and Gold Star families out there on what you're doing. And we thank you, Kevin, for your service. Kevin and Lauren, we thank you for stepping outside the comfort zone to do this, to make a difference. And we look forward, again, going along for the ride with you here on Wreaths Radio and also through other socials and venues that you have. Kevin and Lauren, thank you so much. And we'll be thinking about you every mile of the way, okay?
Godspeed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kevin and Lauren Wallace with me talking about Van of Valor, as you heard. vanofvalor.com is a great place to kick off your look at this, or perhaps if you feel inspired to sponsor them or support them in some way, that would be awesome, as they're hoping to talk to at least 100 Purple Heart recipients during their journey that gets underway. And again, if you are a Purple Heart recipient, please get in touch with them. And if you know of one, tell them about this. And also Gold Star families, which we talk to a lot here on the radio as well. And again, we appreciate Kevin's service and everything that he went through. And we're right there with Kevin and Lauren every mile of the way. Thank you for listening to Wreaths Across America Radio. We are America's radio station and a voice for America's veterans as we remember, honor, and teach. We're also on Facebook sharing our program lineups and also other information about what's going on with Wreaths Across America, and online, of course, at wreathsacrossamerica.org/radio.